What happens when one of the most polarizing figures in American politics faces off against one of journalism's most tenacious interrogators, and neither is prepared to yield an inch? What unfolds is a televised spectacle that spirals wildly out of control, a clash so raw and unfiltered that it culminates in an ending no one could have anticipated. Before we plunge into this combustible encounter, pause for a moment. If you're not already subscribed, hit that button now and share your thoughts in the comments below on how this fiery exchange unraveled. Now, let's dissect the chaos that ensued when Donald Trump squared off against Savannah Guthrie in an interview destined to echo through the annals of political media. The stage was set in a brightly lit NBC studio, the kind where the overhead lights cast harsh shadows, amplifying every facial twitch and verbal jab. It was October 2020, amid the heated run-up to the presidential election, but the intensity felt timeless, like a pressure cooker ready to explode. Donald Trump, the incumbent president, arrived with his trademark bravado, his red tie knotted impeccably against a crisp white shirt, his hair styled in that familiar, defiant sweep. His face bore the hallmarks of countless battles, a blend of unshakable confidence and simmering resentment. Across from him sat Savannah Guthrie, the co-anchor of NBC's Today Show, known for her sharp intellect and unflinching style. Her notes lay neatly arranged on the table, but in truth, this wasn't about scripted queries. It was a high-stakes duel of egos, where preparation met improvisation and civility teetered on the edge of collapse. From the outset, the air crackled with anticipation. Guthrie opened with a polished smile, the sort honed over years in the cutthroat world of broadcast journalism, but her gaze was laser-focused, betraying no illusions about the challenge ahead. Mr. President, thank you for joining us today. I want to start by addressing the concerns many Americans have voiced about the trajectory of political discourse in this country. Do you believe your rhetoric has played a role in the divisiveness we're witnessing? Trump leaned back in his chair, a subtle smirk tugging at his lips, as if he anticipated this opening salvo. Well, Savannah, it's great to be here, and I appreciate the question, though I have to say it's a pretty unfair one right off the bat. You're pinning divisiveness on me when the media, including your network, has been relentlessly attacking me for years, spreading falsehoods and never acknowledging the incredible things we've achieved. So before we dissect my rhetoric, maybe we should examine yours. Guthrie didn't flinch, her response swift and measured. With all due respect, sir, I'm focusing on your words, your statements at rallies, on social media, that critics argue stoke tensions. Can you see why some might find your language troubling? Troubling, Trump echoed, nodding deliberately, as though weighing the term like a judge in a courtroom. You know what's truly troubling, Savannah? The way the media scrutinizes every syllable I utter, or giving my opponents a free pass. I speak straight to the American people. I don't hide behind politically correct nonsense that says nothing. That's why millions rally behind me. They're fed up with politicians who promise the world and deliver excuses. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. But doesn't your platform carry a unique responsibility? Guthrie pressed, her tone calm yet insistent, like a prosecutor building a case, to ensure your words don't incite violence or hatred. Trump's demeanor shifted. The smirk faded, replaced with a steely glare. Let me halt you right there. I've never encouraged violence. Never. That's a vile accusation, the epitome of the fake news I'm always calling out. You want to discuss responsibility? How about journalists' duty to report facts, not twist them into narratives? Every instance of unrest, I've condemned it outright, but you folks never highlight that, do you? The studio atmosphere thickened, the hum of cameras and crew whispers fading into a tense silence. Guthrie adjusted her papers, a subtle move that could be mistaken for nerves, but her voice remained unflappable. Sir, critics cite specific examples where your language raises alarms, calling the press the enemy of the people, or using charged terms for opponents. Don't those words carry weight? Look, Savannah, Trump replied, leaning forward, his hands animating his words with emphatic gestures. The press, not all, but many, has treated me worse than any president ever. That's not opinion, it's fact. They distort my statements, yank them out of context, ignore our triumphs. So yes, when they act that way, I'll call it out. That's not inflammatory, it's honest. And my opponents, they've hurled worse at me, baseless accusations galore. But that's fine apparently. Double standard, plain and simple, and Americans see it. But you're not an ordinary citizen critiquing the media. You're the President of the United States. Doesn't that demand a higher standard, more restrained language? Trump's jaw clenched visibly. You want restrained? Here's restrained and crystal clear. I was the greatest president in decades. We built the strongest economy pre-pandemic, rebuilt the military, put America first in deals, delivered for everyday folks. But instead of covering that, the media obsessed with destroying me with hoaxes, Russia collusion, impeachment sham, everything aimed at sabotaging us. So excuse me if I skip lectures on restraint from those who show none. Mr. President, I must push back. I'm not irked except by evasive answers. Directly, do you accept any responsibility for our polarized nation? Yes or no?
Trump paused, his eyes calculating. I spoke truth to power like no one before, exposing corruption and hypocrisy that rattled the elite. The backlash, the hysteria, attacks, silencing, that's the real issue. No, I don't accept blame for defending myself and my voters. The room pulsed with energy, every exchange ratcheting the stakes. Guthrie glanced at her notes before pivoting. Let's shift to your election claims. You've insisted it was stolen, fraud rampant, despite courts, including your appointees, finding no evidence. Why persist? Because it's true, Trump stated bluntly. I don't care about courts or experts dismissing it. I know what happened. Millions do. We won't pretend otherwise to soothe discomfort. But the evidence, or lack, recounts, audits, all concurred, Guthrie countered. When do you accept that? When do I accept? When the system truly probes irregularities, unverified mail-ins, unsupervised counts, statistical oddities ignored. I won't feign it was fair when it wasn't. The dialogue intensified, both locked in. Mr. President, these claims have consequences. We saw violence, assaults on democracy. Any responsibility there? Trump's face reddened. Stop. You're not blaming me for violence I condemned. I urged peace, respect for law. Linking me to others' actions? That's not journalism, it's a smear. I'm not smearing, Guthrie shot back. I'm probing rhetoric's ripple. Telling millions their votes were stolen. What follows? No fallout? The real fallout? Eroded trust in institutions that failed. Instead of fixing, you shut debate by labeling questioners dangerous. That's anti-democratic. But questioning differs from declaring theft without proof, Guthrie argued. You framed it as fact, eroding faith. Proof? Mountains exist, but you ignore it. This heat? Because I won't yield truth. Crew exchanged uneasy looks as Guthrie sipped water, undeterred. Mr. President, clarify. I'm not silencing, I'm asking hard questions. Viewers deserve direct responses, not deflections. Knowing impacts, would you rephrase? Not a word, Trump declared. Silence would have betrayed voters. Regret standing firm? Insulting suggestion. I'm not implying regret beliefs, Guthrie clarified, patience fraying. Leaders weigh words reach. Reasonable, no? Words impact. Let's dissect medias, calling me traitor, Russian puppet, democracy threat. That spurred attacks on supporters. Where's your worry? Guthrie's face tightened. Reporting investigations isn't unfounded accusation. Holding power accountable differs from undermining democracy. Undermining, Trump mocked, rich from a network trying to overturn my fair win. Real threats? Censorship, corruption, biased justice. The session devolved into sparring, Guthrie's resolve unyielding. We're circling. Differently, for a potential return, what changes, lessons learned? I'd be tougher on destroyers, drain swamp fully, no niceties with backstabbers. I'd spot snakes day one. More confrontational, Guthrie queried. More effective, Trump corrected. Faster results, accountability for underminers. Who? Opponents? Justice? Journalists? Guthrie probed. Sounds like targeting enemies. Dangerous. Not perceived, real ones who weaponized agencies, lied, spied. Crimes, with evidence. Equal justice, not revenge. I get your view, Guthrie said skeptically, but framing worries about norm erosion. Understandable? Norms violated against me. Spying, impeachments, censorship. I was victimized. Tension peaked. Mr. President, you've deflected every query by attacking media, critics, avoiding ownership. Ownership? I've owned successes. The economy, energy, no wars, justices. You ignore to fit narrative. Apologize for fighting? Never. I'm asking reflection, acknowledgement of imperfections, Guthrie pressed. Trump stood abruptly, agitation palpable. This isn't interview, ambush. Loaded questions, unfair. I'm done. Guthrie stayed seated. These are legitimate. If challenged equals attack, that speaks volumes. Trump erupted. Every question villainizes me, ignores good, pushes controversies. Not journalism, activism. Studio hushed, producers panicked. I've interviewed thousands, asked toughly across spectras, your attacks on challenge, your issue. Can't handle 30 minutes? How lead? Trump fumed. Composure, enduring attacks, probes, smears daily, not sitting for disrespect. Guthrie rose. Courtesy given, you see questions as disrespect, reveals media view. Media should report fairly, not agenda push. Trump retorted. Specific lie I promoted, Guthrie demanded. Russia collusion, years-long hoax, no evidence, presidency wrecked, no apology. Justice-led probe, we reported findings, indictments, not fabricated. Witch hunt to undermine, Trump insisted. You craved hilt, ignored facts, shifted attacks. This is futile. Deflect, attack messenger, play victim. Americans deserve better. Trump moved off set, security appearing. Unprecedented walkout over questions. Then maybe no one's called your bluff. I'm not afraid of you, network, or the truth. The screen faded, but the shockwaves lingered, a testament to unbridled confrontation in an era of fractured discourse. This wasn't just an interview, it was a mirror to America's divides, raw and unrelenting.